So it looks like you guys liked my PragerU videos, so guess we're gonna do it again. So, it's been about a year and a half or more since I made the first one of these. Things have obviously changed since then. We have now been in a global pandemic for the better part of a year that people still deny is happening because we as a nation are doomed to fail. We had the US elections, which also kind of reiterate on that point. So I thought it would just, it would lighten all our hearts if we just made fun of some of these conservatives for a while and just took a look at some of their recent PragerU videos. So the first one we're going to look at is called What's Wrong with Wind and Solar, where presumably they're going to tell us that wind and solar are actually demonic evils, and that in order for the free market to thrive, we should all go bathing in the oil fields with our fellows the seagulls. So let's have a look.
Have you ever heard of unobtainium? It's the magical energy mineral found on the planet Pandora in the movie Avatar. It's a fantasy in a science fiction script. But environmentalists think they found it here on Earth in the form of wind and solar power.
Okay, so first thing, I'm a scientist. I work with scientists every day. I've never heard a scientist ever make a claim that bold. No scientist wants to ever paraphrase or make claims like that, which is why something like science communication is so hard. So it kind of doesn't... This man's... I've never heard anyone say that. Every energy comes with its own challenges. That's not the claim that people are making. But anyways, let's talk about this guy, Mark Mills. He's a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, which is a conservative think tank, which, just propagates free market ideologies and stuff. He worked under Reagan, so if that gives you any idea of how good this guy is. He's also a strategic partner with Cottonwood Venture Partners, which is an energy tech venture fund. So this guy is in the energy game. He has a stake in keeping energy the way it is now. So anyways, just wanted to point that out.
They think all the energy we need can be supplied by building enough wind and solar farms and enough batteries. The simple truth is that we can't, nor should we want to, not if our goal is to be good stewards of the planet.
Okay, so here he basically sums up the crux of at least the first part of the argument, which is that it's physically impossible for us to do everything, and he's going to explain why. But also, I don't necessarily disagree with him on one thing he says here, is that if we want to be good stewards of the planet, and I don't think he would agree with this point, or the way I'm saying it, but is that technology is not going to get us there, that we need radical shifts in how our society is structured and how we consume energy if we want that to change. And I mean, obviously, that's not the point he's making in this video, but yeah. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do now is just go through, I have the transcript pulled up for the video, and he cites his sources for his claims, so we're going to try to use that as a basis to kind of break this shit down.
All sources of energy have limits that can't be exceeded. The maximum rate at which the sun's photons can be converted to electrons is about 33%. Our best solar technology is at 26% efficiency. For wind, the maximum capture is 60%. Our best machines are at 45%.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So the first paper he cites for the solar cell thing is called Silicon Solar Cells Towards the Efficiency Limits. And it talks about the intrinsic limits of efficiency or energy capture in silicon solar cells, which they actually estimate is about 29%. So it's lower than what he said. So I don't even know if he read his own, the paper that he's citing. But the conclusions of the paper actually talk about silicon tandem cells, which include other materials, and they estimate that those could actually increase the energy efficiency to 40%, which is actually significantly higher than what is stated here. So the next number he cites is 60%, and that's what's also called the Betz limit, which is a current limit on kinetic energy extraction from fluids. But the source he cites actually makes an argument that the Betz limit could actually be broken, that wind power could go past that without contradicting Betz law. So he's not even right. Like, even his sources are telling him he's wrong. But anyways, let's just go with the 60% number just for now, because the next point I'm going to talk about, I think, will be important. So you might be thinking, damn, I mean, even a max of 40, that's still not great. 40, 60, that's not great efficiency. Like, what are we going to do about that? Maybe renewable resources are bad. But you'll notice that they failed to mention the energy efficiencies of coal, of oil, or of natural gas. And if you go to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, they give you a way to calculate efficiency based on heat rate of power plants and heat rate of energy production. And they also give you the average operating heat rates for different energy sources. So you can calculate this efficiency yourself if you want to, and I did. So if you take the average over the past 10 years for each of these and you divide I think it's the thermal content of 1 kilowatt of electricity, which is 3912 BTU per kilowatt hour, by these averages, you end up with an efficiency of 33% for coal, 31% for oil, and 43% for natural gas, meaning non-renewable resources are just as inefficient, if not worse, than the renewable resources that he's trying to dunk on. And that's why he doesn't show them to you, because the claim is supposed to be that the renewable resources are inefficient, they're not great, or whatever, when they're literally the same as the current resources we use, and they're better for the environment. So, anyways, let's just move on to the next claim. So I kind of wanted to summarize some of the points that he makes in the next few minutes, just to for the interest of time. So that he starts talking about how, since wind and solar can't be operating 100% of the time given wind conditions or cloudiness, that we need batteries, and that those batteries take a very long time to make, or that we can't make that many. He also says things about how electric cars require batteries as well, and that takes a while. He then goes on to talk about how, all of this is going to be made from non-renewable materials, and talks about rare earth metals and about how mining from there can significantly reduce biodiversity. And in some senses, he's not wrong. But his conclusion from that is that we shouldn't do anything about it, and that oil is the best way to go. Where the thing that environmentalists are saying are not that we can continue to exist in the current system we live in, that we can continue consuming energy or renewable energy in the way we do. No, we have to change drastically. Stop talking about electric cars. We got to get mass public transit. It's a lot more efficient to move a lot of people around with fewer batteries, per se, than everyone gets their own electric car. And this is a thing that people talk about all the time. They don't argue that you should just buy an electric car and trash your old one. No, you should hold on to your own car, and then when you get an electric car, hold on to that for as long as you can. These are things that people talk about, and he doesn't talk about any of that. Okay. I know I just made commentary or whatever, and I wanted to skip, but I'm just going to at least address this first part just to show you guys exactly what I mean when I didn't felt like this was kind of worth skipping. So let's just look at the first section where he talks about how batteries are needed to store energy. So the first two claims he make, the sources for that are himself. He cites himself, 2 articles that he wrote for the Manhattan Institute, which is not peer-reviewed. One of them is just a commentary. And then the second source is from a website called... the third source is from a website called Our World in Data. And when you look at it, it's actually not making the claim that he talks about when he says that, the batteries and the storage are the reason why we don't use energy. It's just statistics on renewable energy usage in general. So it has nothing to do with that. So yeah, this is kind of why I skipped this section. He has other sources that from the Center for the American Experiment, which is some other conservative think tank, and some other things. But yeah, I just thought it was worth kind of breezing through.
Then there's the waste. Wind turbines, solar panels, and batteries have a relatively short life, about 20 years. Conventional energy machines like gas turbines last twice as long.
Oh my God, I'm on take 10 of this fucking argument. So whatever, I'm just going to go through it. Basically, disregarding the fact that the production of gas turbines and the production of wind and solar turbines may not have the same energy costs, let's just say that if the lifespan of the wind and solar is shorter, then that is bad. Let's look at their sources and see if that's actually what they claim. So the first source they look at is from the Center for the American Experiment, which claims that the wind turbine lifespan is 20 to 25 years. But in that article, they cite the U.S. Energy Information Administration, which is where I got that heat rate information from. And the article they cite is about repowering wind turbines, not building new projects, not building new ones, repowering them, refurbishing them. And they claim that even just repowering them can extend their lifespans by 20 years on top of the 20 years that they already have, which is 40 years, which is as long as the gas turbines. So yeah. Then they cite for the solar panels this website called modernize.com, which is just a resource website for homeowners, I guess. And the article and in the article, even here, they say that there's not a lot of data yet to show whether or not solar panels degrade. And I actually looked that up to see if that was true. And I found a report where they talk about how the degradation rate has been on average less than 1% for these solar panels over 20 years. So we don't know. They could very well continue working past the 20-year mark. So yeah, basically the claim they're making here, which seems to have sources and facts, is not very well supported. Okay, so to summarize the final point here, his final conclusion is that we should use oil because it's inexhaustible or some shit like that, and that it's getting cleaner to use. But the main point he's saying is that it's way more efficient to use oil and it produces more energy per hour and it's cheaper to store. So let's see what citations he uses to prove this point. So the first thing he does is cite himself, again, of course, a non-peer-reviewed article or report or something. Then he cites this thing called CFACT, which is some kind of like free market conservative think tank for environmental issues, but like they advocate for fracking and drilling for oil and wildlife refuges. So when he talks about protecting biodiversity, I'm not really sure if that's what he had in mind. And then the third thing he cites is this levelized cost analysis of energy from Lazard or Lazard, or I don't know how to pronounce their name, but in the first page of the report, they state explicitly that they do not account for the potential costs of waste, of greenhouse gases, of climate change, because those aren't really able to be estimated accurately because we don't know how bad it could be. So that's basically the video. And one final point I want to make is that they never mention nuclear throughout the course of this video, obviously, because there's a lot of anti-nuclear sentiment, but they also don't just want to admit that nuclear would blow all this shit out of the water, that like it would be so much better than anything else. But yeah, anyways. So that was the video. I said I was gonna do more than one, but I'm tired. These take a while, so I think I'm gonna cut it at that. And that's kind of the point, really, is that all these PragerU videos, they're like 5 minutes long, but they're so full of misinformation that it takes this long to debunk them, and that's why they're hard to combat. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want me to make more, just let me know. I know it's been a while since the last one. I was also thinking about like streaming these on Twitch, possibly. I've been doing a bit of Twitch streaming, but it's been mostly games, but I think this would be fun, be interactive, etc. So let me know if you guys think that would be cool. I'll put my Twitch link on the screen or something. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, your night, or whatever, and hope you're surviving the pandemic well. Take care of yourselves. See you later.